In the age of the internet, it has become so easy to find any information you need to learn about basically any topic imaginable. Gone are the days of having to search through hundreds of textbooks or to pay to learn for something. But in the thick of all this unlimited free information that we have, there comes a bigger issue of analysis paralysis. Sometimes this overwhelming amount of information almost stops us in our tracks from actually making progress and going forward with actually learning something. You spend so much time comparing different resources or trying out a new iteration of this same course or guide where you end up not making any progress whatsoever. As someone who is trying to become a self-taught software engineer and hopefully move to Japan and work there, I have curated a list of all the things that I have deemed necessary and actually quite helpful in my current learning journey. I'm hoping that this video can serve as kind of a baseline for anybody who's interested in maybe trying to take this path as well, and maybe needs some clarity on what is useful and what is not. The first thing that I'm going to talk about in this video is kind of the general course, where you get your information. And to this, I'm going to have to give this to Free Code Camp and the Odin Project. Both are incredibly well-made, open source, free courses that will basically teach you all you need, whether it's for JavaScript, whether you're trying to become a web developer or a full stack developer, it has you covered. There's a lot of information included in both, and regardless of which one you choose, I think they're a great way to kind of get your starter guide to learning how to be a software developer. I personally use Free Code Camp. I just like the structure of everything, but you can also use the Odin Project. They're both interchangeable, and they both provide plenty of information, and if you ever feel that there's something missing, you can always supplement it with a little YouTube video. Just Google search the topic that you're trying to find, and it gives you the correct structure that you need. There is a big mistake that a lot of junior or starter developers make, and that's not doing enough coding. I'm not specifically only saying just following tutorials, but being able to actually practice some of the fundamental things in a vacuum, such as functions, arrays, looping through functions, so on and so forth, is necessary because that gives you the practice, the reps necessary in order to be able to use those things when building an application. And for that, I think that's where Code Wars shines really great. I'm currently on the free plan, so I don't have any experience with any of the paid plans, but so far it has been an amazing resource for me to practice more of my fundamental tools and actually allow me to understand what I know and what I don't. It has been a great tool that I've been using along with Free Code Camp as well as doing projects. These have been really great tools because it allows me to really focus on specific things, such as working within arrays. I realized that I had a real issue when it came to working inside arrays and iterating with them. And so this was something that allowed me to get specific, more accurate practice. And the way that it works is you gain points, and it uses a traditional dojo style ranking system with the queues. And as you start to do more advanced queues, the more rewards you get and the higher you rank up. Now, I think this is a great tool to work alongside with a full course like Free Code and doing projects yourself. I have heard that as you get more and more competitive, let's say, with Code Wars, it does kind of drift into a thing that becomes its own thing. Some people will optimize their code to be as short as possible so they get the maximum kata rewards, and that isn't always necessarily great for production. Now, the fourth thing that I'd like to mention, and this one is not really a must, but it's a little fun to have if you care, and this is Solo Learn on your phone. I like to use Solo Learn on my commute to work. It's a quite long commute, about 50 minutes to an hour. So I really like to use that as an opportunity to kind of just reinforce, basic things that I already know. It's a really fun platform. It's kind of like a Duolingo style quiz where it's related to whatever technology you chose. Like I'm specifically doing JavaScript, It wouldn't necessarily be like my go-to way if I were to learn as like a beginner, but doing this alongside already doing Code Wars, Free Code, and whatever course you're doing, it's super helpful, and I think it'll really help reinforce what you're learning. And it's kind of a fun thing that you can do when you have extra downtime, and it has a fun score system or streak system that keeps you coming back, and it's worthwhile to have in your arsenal just because why not. Now, one of the things that I specifically added for learning to become an engineer, but I think this is kind of necessary for everybody, even if you don't intend to be an engineer, even if you just want to be a software developer, I think it's still necessary, and that is the Harvard CS50 course. I think this course covers a lot of information on just how computers work. It really takes you down to a system level of understanding how computers work, and that makes you far stronger of a developer, and this course is amazing. It covers so much. I'm currently doing it as well, and I think it's a really great resource that anybody that has an itch to become a developer should take if they're going down the self-taught route. It really covers a lot, and it's a well-taught course, and it's well worth the time. It is quite a bit of a time commitment, but for good reason. Now, the final and last thing that I want to talk about, this is like not a big thing. It's kind of just like a little throwaway for anybody that's stuck to the end of the video, but I think it's actually quite useful. It's a notebook. Most people aren't thinking, oh, why would I need a notebook? But I find that using a notebook is actually one of the most helpful things ever. Note taking after the end of a session and writing things like, for example, what did I build today? What did I learn? What do I need practice with? What did I struggle with? As well as sometimes just note taking on some of the things, I was working with, again, those web APIs, and I was just writing some of the classes inside. Those things are incredibly useful because it gives you something that you can recall, and it gives you an objective for the next day. When you sit down and you start your self-learning, self-teaching, you actually have an objective, because now you look at it and see, okay, this is what I struggled with yesterday. Now I can focus on this and try and master it. And it gives you that forward progression. It gives you that linear path that kind of just builds off of itself, and that's why I love it so much. Not having a notebook was a struggle for me because there were so many things that I lacked that I didn't even know where to begin. But starting with a notebook, just doing a project, seeing what I understood, seeing where I failed, finding that thing, taking note of it, working on it the next day, rinse and repeat. And that's how I've been slowly progressing. I'm still very early in my journey, but I feel like I've covered a lot of ground just by having that structure and having those resources in my notebook that allow me to have something that I'll look at and go forward. Now that kind of wraps up my list. Those are like my top 5 or 6. I don't remember how many I started with. Things that I think will help anybody at the start. Of course, this may change, this may update as I become more and more advanced with what I work with. But for now, these are just things that work for me. If you have any changes or any suggestions, throw them in the comments. That's what the point is for. This has been Mr. T. It's been a pleasure with you guys. Have a wonderful evening.